Ooh, gonna be a good day. It's also probably best to wear some eye protection. We're killing weeds. There's no such thing as overkill when you're killing weeds, right? If you have wire fence, if you have country fence, what is going on, y'all? And welcome back to the Average Homeowners channel. You may be thinking to yourself, why in the world do you have a backpack sprayer, your gloves on, and a can of diesel fuel for this video? Well, today is Fence Line Weed Control Day 2025, and I'm going to walk you through my simple process to control the weeds in the fence line, manage all of the different things that are growing in our rock beds, and take care of weed control for you this year. Let's get into it. Okay, so first and foremost, if you're watching this and you're one of the 99% of people not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button right there, hit the thumbs up, comment down below, and help this channel grow, become part of the Average Homeowners community. We appreciate you, and we are excited to have you here. But for this video, we are mixing diesel, Roundup, water, and a little bit of bifenthrin left over from the last video for some weed control, for some pest control, and we're gonna take care of all the weeds in our fence lines and in our rock beds. So, who's this video for? If you have split rail fence, if you have chain link fence, if you have wire fence, if you have country fence, if you have any type of fence line that has weeds that grow in it that you don't want to weed eat and try and maintain, this is what you're going to do. And why? What's the difference between the 2024 video and the 2025 video? Well, I met this good old boy and he was telling me about all the benefits of adding equal parts diesel fuel to your Roundup when you're spraying fence lines. So we're going to go ahead and get this mixed up. We're going to do 3 gallons of water. We're going to do Roundup and we're going to do equal parts diesel fuel. I'm going to show you the areas that we have to spray, and then I'm going to go ahead and spray them. And we're going to come back in 4 to 5 hours, and I'm going to give you an update, because one of the things that everybody says is that it doesn't take 24 hours to kill like the Roundup does. It happens so fast when you add a little bit of diesel fuel. Another thing we're probably going to need to do is rinse the sprayer extremely well. So if you're going to try any of the things we're doing today, go ahead and click those links down in the description, and you can find where I get all of these different items, including the pump-up sprayers and the backpack sprayers. Now, one of the things, if you have half an acre, 2 acres, a larger spot like we do, I would go ahead and get you one of these battery-powered backpack sprayers. If you don't, you've just got a small area, you could go ahead and use a pump-up sprayer. We've got one of those that we use for smaller tasks, but today we're doing all the fence lines, all the rock beds, and so we're gonna use the DeWalt 20 Volt Max backpack sprayer. I've linked down below to some different backpack sprayers that I want to use, I want to try. But for now, we're using the DeWalt 20 Volt Max. Okay, so with the Roundup, you've got 2 different mixing variations. For light weed control, you do 3 ounces per gallon. For tough weed control, you do 6 ounces per gallon. We've got 3 gallons, we've got some big weeds in the fence lines, we've got some areas around the electric box in the back, we've got some areas around the pool equipment where we put all that Black Star gravel. They've got a lot of weeds and they've got some really tough to kill weeds. So we're gonna go ahead and go with 6 ounces per gallon, 6 times 3 gallons of water. We haven't filled this up all the way. We've got 3 of the 4 gallons in here. So we're gonna go with 18 ounces of Roundup, and then we're gonna go with 18 ounces of diesel fuel. But before we get this mixed up, let me show you the areas we're gonna spray, and we'll come back and get it mixed and get to spraying. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got the area where we put the Black Star gravel, but we haven't totally finished. And back here, we've got the generator. And in this area, we've got some weeds growing in. I did not get weed control mat down on all of it, so we've got some weeds growing in along the fence line here. We've got some weeds growing in up against the house over there. And we've also got some along the pool equipment here. We're gonna go ahead and knock those out. That's what will show us what the best results are with this. We've also got some weeds growing up through the rocks here. They're not really growing through the rocks, but since we put the rock down up against the weeds, they're continuing to grow. So we're gonna take those out today, and this will be the place where we can best see how fast the diesel fuel and Roundup combination works. We're also gonna spray all along our fence line. Because of the dogs, we have wire, chicken wire in the fence. That chicken wire does not weed eat well. It tends to break and bust if you weed eat it or you hit it too hard. So we're gonna go ahead and spray that. And if you can see, we do have some residual dead weeds in the fence line now. That's because earlier this year we've already sprayed once. But if you don't do it every few months, then you run into issues and you've got to try and weed eat it to tame them. So we're gonna go ahead and spray it with the diesel fuel and Roundup today. So let's go get it mixed and get to spraying so that we can show you the results and hopefully help you next time you have to take care of your fence line weed control. All right, so in our sprayer, we are gonna go ahead and mix, and obviously make sure you've got gloves on, you're using your safety precautions. So we've got our measuring cup, gloves, diesel fuel, Roundup, sprayer. Let's go ahead and get this mixed up. All right, so for the Roundup, we need 18 ounces. That's gonna be a little more than a full cup here. So this goes up to 16 ounces. We're not really gonna measure, we're just gonna do a little extra. If we make the mix a little hot, we make the mix a little hot. It is what it is. Okay, we've got that, so let's set the Roundup to the side. Next, the diesel fuel. We're gonna go with 16 ounces of diesel fuel. All right. Equal parts. There's 16 ounces of diesel fuel, same thing. Maybe a little over, but not a huge deal. We're killing weeds. There's no such thing as overkill when you're killing weeds, right? Woo! Gonna be a good day. Okay, next you're gonna wanna make sure your gasket is seated. Get your lid back on. And give that a little mix, just to make sure from the start we've got everything good to go. All right, let's get this sprayer mounted up and go kill some fence line weeds. All right, so we're gonna start in the pool equipment area and then work our way around the house with all the fence lines. Also, if you've got places you just want to make sure weeds don't grow in the future or grass doesn't grow in the future, such as in black star gravel beds, in rock gravel beds, in any beds where you don't have other vegetation, you can just go ahead and spray the whole bed with this mixture, and it'll make sure you don't have issues with any vegetation coming back in the future. Just keep in mind you do have to spray regularly. Now, a lot of people, when they spray, just put enough to get the leaves of the plant. One of the things I like to point out is that if you're trying to keep weeds from coming back, you really need to spray until you get the ground wet. Anything coming through the soil right at that ground level is very important to make sure the spray hits. If you don't get it damp or get it moist, you may have issues in the future. So just make sure you spray your emulsion down to make sure that you get everything in the area. Now, some people are gonna tell you to spray when it's really dry out. Some people are gonna tell you to spray when there's still dew on the grass. What I like to do is wait until, just like right now, the dew's starting to dry up. It's gonna be humid here anyway, but when the dew starts to dry, then everything we spray onto these plants, onto these weeds, will dry onto them. And whether the dew's drying or everything we're adding to it is drying, you're gonna get it dried on the leaves and on the dirt, which means it's gonna do an even better job of killing it. Now we've got this area back here that in the future is going to be used to run cable. They've got some red conduit here. We've got our AT&T box back here, but I can't get back here with the mower, and I don't like to weed eat it that often. So we're just going to kill this whole corner off. We're going to put down a heavy dose of Roundup and diesel fuel. We're going to move through the weeds and go down to weed level to make sure we get under them and get some of this into the grass like I was talking about, into the dirt. And this will make sure that we get a few months of protection. We've also got some vines growing on the fence here. I'm not a huge fan of vines on the fence. They'll eat away at our cedar, so we're gonna go ahead and get all that sprayed as well. So that area is gonna provide us with valuable feedback on how fast this works. we'll be able to check back in on it and figure out just how fast the diesel and Roundup emulsion works, because it's a lot of green vegetation, a lot of green tall weeds, so we can use that as a point to measure whether this worked or didn't work. Let me show you this areas before, real up close. That way when we come back in a few hours, we've got something we can measure against. So this is gonna be our measuring stick. Now let's finish up the fence line. You also want to keep in mind your wind direction. So right now, we've got the wind coming from the south. We're about to spray the south fence line. When we do that, it's going to be blowing back towards us. So we want to make sure we spray a little further outside the fence and let it drift back in. If the wind is crazy, it's probably best not to spray. It's also probably best to wear some eye protection. But you just want to take the wind into consideration when you're choosing your direction of spray. You may ask why it looks like I'm spraying the corners. That's because these are corners in the yard where I can't make the turn and get in there with the zero turn. So why not just kill them off? That way it's easier to mow and I don't have to get the weed eater back here against the fence line. All right, y'all, that is it for spray day. We will be back in a couple hours and show you the results. Let's go. All right, y'all, we are back. Sorry, a little disgusting here. I spent the last 2 hours putting furniture together, but let's take a look and see how the Roundup is doing, see whether the diesel fuel helped or not. And I'm gonna give you my thoughts on whether I'm gonna be doing it for the foreseeable future. So let's take a look at these weeds here by the pool equipment and the generator. Okay, if you can see that, they are starting to yellow out. They're starting to get spots on the leaves. It's been about 3.5 hours. Some of the smaller pieces are starting to really go brown already. You can really see it if we look here. On this one right here, you can see those leaves starting to really brown out. So now let's walk to the back corner and see what's happening with that really heavily weeded spot back by the electric equipment. See whether, and see just how good the Roundup with the diesel fuel worked. Check it out. Yeah, this stuff along here is all starting to die really quickly. I'm really impressed with how that worked. It's definitely faster than when I just used Roundup alone last time. Oh yeah, it is definitely starting to work and work quickly. Look at that. I'm gonna go get a cutout, and right here, I'm gonna put what it looked like before, and right here, I'm gonna put what it looked like after, so you can see the side-by-side of how quick this is actually working. The vines up there on the fence, definitely starting to die off. So all in all, my thoughts on putting a little bit of diesel fuel in with your Roundup before spraying, gotta do it. It definitely works. Now I will say we ran about 15 extra gallons of water through the sprayer while we were cleaning it out, but big fan. If you tried this, if you've got something else you use to mix with it, to emulsify it or to add to it, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Really appreciate y'all watching, and we will see you in the next one. All right, it has been 3.5 hours since we sprayed the Roundup. I am disgustingly wet because I have been putting furniture together in 90-degree heat for the patio. Let y'all take a look at this. What do you think? New patio furniture set? Need to do a review on that. Relatively easy to put together, but let's go ahead and take a look at the results from our Roundup and diesel fuel fence line and spray job. Here we go.